This is a great night. We have a fabulous opportunity to hear Mr. Ken Knorr. If I could give him a round of applause. Now I'm going to briefly introduce Ken and that company, but I'm going to tell you in advance, I don't really know what it is they do, but I'm going to read it anyways. But if you open up your program, you can see a top firm in search engine optimization, in pay-per-clicks. That company is located in Leesburg. They've been in business since 2007. They made the Inc. 500 list in 2011. They've won award after award. Their clients include governors, large banks, the Orlando Magic. They've won 3 Addy Awards, 2 Cold Soakum Awards. And so we get to listen tonight at somebody who's an expert in social marketing. So without further ado, Mr. Ken.
Can y'all hear me okay without this? Yes. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna apologize in advance. I'm actually, the pollen came out and is kicking my butt and is causing me to have some coughing and like tickle in my throat. So if I stop or start hacking, I'm gonna grab coffee and I'll die in front of you. He tells me that this is a good turnout. Is this a good turnout? Yeah? Well, I'm at that. For Lady Lake, that makes me feel honored. The largest crowd I ever spoke in front of, and the most nervous I ever was a crowd of 2,800. At the time, I was handling quality assurance for a home builder and handling their quality programs. We actually got them certified with the National Association of Home Builders as a quality builder. And I followed, oh no, it wasn't the village. And I followed their keynote speaker, so I got to speak right after Colin Powell. That was nerve-wracking because I am nowhere near as good as Colin Powell. And as soon as I went up there, I said, because they had broke the keynote, and then they started this other session that I was going to do. And I walked into that session, and I never make notes. Never. I don't speak from notes, never have. And I walk into the room right as that I'm going to be speaking in it, and I'm thinking that I'm going to talk to 100 people. And I see this just huge room. And so, and they're still filing in, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I go to the speaker ready room. I've never even been in a speaker ready room. And I started scribbling notes onto an envelope, and about 2 minutes into the thing, I set the notes down and just went. And anyway, that was nerve-wracking. But my first thing I said is, how many people saw Colin Powell? And everybody raised their hand. I said, I'm nothing like him. I'm not that cool. And he tells a great story about walking on the Air Force One, and the jet engine starts when he hits the first step, or then the second one starts at the second, and he sits down, and a Coke is placed in front of him, and as soon as he puts his butt in the seat, the thing begins to roll. And I don't have that. I play coach. Occasionally first class, but my wife doesn't like that. So social media was what I was asked to talk about, actually, and I'll jump in. Let me give you a little bit about us. We started reverse engineering Google back in 2000. My original claim to fame before I started this company before I started that company, was, and by the way, you're going to notice that I make that mistake on purpose very often during that.
Self-promotion here.
Yeah, there you go. I don't carry business cards, because if you don't know my brand, by the time we're done, I've done something wrong, okay? But I started that company in 2007, but in 2000, I started working on reverse engineering Google and doing search engine optimization. Everybody familiar with search engine optimization, pretty much, how things get ranked? You remember this wardrobe malfunction in 2004? Yeah, on Monday morning, my personal website, Knorr.com, ranked #1 if you did a search for Janet Jackson's breast. Okay? There was nothing inappropriate on my website, but it was a proof of concept at the time, and once we proved that, I took this little home builder here locally from obscurity on the internet to ranking #1 for Florida retirement communities. And Pringle Development went from building 50 houses a year to building 1,000 homes a year. We were in 2005, and granted we were in a boom, but in 2005 we generated 32,000 leads across the internet, which we thought was pretty impressive. 72% of our home sales came from first contact. We could prove it, first contact through the internet. So those were big things for us. Well, in 2007, I decided that I was going to get out of the home building industry. I was actually, at that time, I had graduated all the way up inside that company after being with them for a decade as their vice president of operations. So I was responsible for everything in their company except for the accounting department, the actual sales people. I had nothing to do with them. That's pretty much it. I did everything else, land development, horizontal, buying property. I was the homeowners association president for 6 different homeowners associations. That's no fun. You get the idea. So I decided, I saw the writing was kind of on the wall that the industry was about to change, and I thought, you know what, we could take and we can hang out our shingle out, and we can help other home builders maybe, do better in online sales across the country. So we actually started our company as Buildtelligence Web Solutions, and Buildtelligence, the idea was to focus on home builders. We did not stay with home builders very long because in 2008 the whole thing came crashing down. Housing market went to crap, everything else went to crap, and so we decided that we were going to do internet marketing as a whole for all kinds of companies. As I was talking earlier, I can name on 2 hands, maybe a half of another hand, how many clients we have in the state of Florida. Most of our clients are national, international clients, as alluded to. We handle Western Union, the National Basketball Association, Orlando Magic being part of that. Ustream, the largest online streaming platform. Drive Time, the used car guys nationally. So, a little bit of this. But another thing that we do that most people don't know is total mystery is that we're actually a private label company too, which means that if you call another advertising agency and they do search engine optimization, there's a good chance it's us. We actually answer the phone as their company. We run reports underneath their label and their logos. We will even, on the pre-sales side, dress up like them and help them sell accounts. So we don't do that too often, but we can do it. So anyway, we started reverse engineering Google. It was cool, it was fun. I turned this company in. We did a growth by acquisition strategy. We acquired a company called ppcmanagement.com. Which was a software provider in the pay-per-click. PPC, you understand what pay-per-click management is? The ads that run in Google. So we manage those campaigns. Smallest client we might do is a couple $1,000s a month. Largest, $35,000 a day in advertising. Can you imagine spending $35,000? I can't even imagine spending that kind of money, but we do it. And we do it, doing mobile phone apps, selling mobile phone apps that handle recipes and maps and all kinds of cool stuff. So we acquired a PR firm and traditional advertising agency in 2010, and then we got into radio, print, television, and all the traditional stuff too. So that's a little bit about what we do. Most people have no idea because we don't really knock on doors here locally. We don't go trying to sell what we do here. So people see and hear about us, but they don't really know what is that? I get that all the time, what is that? And then my answer is, we do that. What do you guys do? We do that. Well, what is that? Well, it's not this, it's that. Anyway, and after I'm done, I always remind people that it creates the who's on first conversation with every client call. Every new prospect call is like, can I talk to Bob? Yeah, can I tell him what's going on? Ken with that company. What company? That company. No, what company? No, that company. No, seriously, THAT, that company.
And that's one purpose.
There you go.
They don't want
You think we know why? Okay, we'll talk about how. I'm good with how. So, and I just talking about it, and I'll mention it. So, we decided to get into we decided that we wanted to do for ourselves what we do for our clients, which is to, not only help clients do internet marketing, but actually start another company and internet market for ourselves. And so we decided in 2012, beginning of 2013, that we wanted to be in the online gun sales business. We wanted to go up against Cheaper Than Dirt. We wanted to go, those that know Cheaper Than Dirt, I've never heard of any of those. We want to go up against Bud's Gun Shop. We want to go up against all these guys online selling guns. And so the first thing we did was, we started all the planning and working with the ATF and getting all that crap. But our first campaign when we launched it, was a social media campaign, and it's still underway. We actually opened the shop in January of 2013. I'm happy to say that here in March 31st, we will end our first promotion that we did online. And the first promotion we did online was we gave away an AR-15, a $700 weapon. That's what it cost me, $700. It also cost me 2 employees worth of time, part-time, not even full-time, part-time to handle the social media campaign and the launch. Today, I've had, as of Friday, I had 22,000 people register to win that weapon. That's 22,000 email addresses that I get to start off with when I launch my e-commerce platform. All right, so that's social media, and one of the things you can do with social media. Now, I only got 5,000 fans on my Facebook page in that little period of time. That's all I generated was 5,000. As a matter of fact, my social media guy came to me yesterday and goes, "We got 5,000." I'm like, "Yes." But 5,000 fans on my Facebook page was not that important to me as getting 22,000 email addresses was. Because what is Facebook, and if we're going to talk about how, then we need to also understand what it is. And Facebook is just another communication platform. That's all it is. It's just another place for my message to be heard, except that my message won't be heard if people don't like my message. No, and I mean that seriously, literally. If people don't like my message won't be heard. What does that mean? So I'm going to jump, let me see, I'll jump out in here. This is the whys and the reach and social and the demographics. These are all the whys. And well, let's go into how do we get them to become customers? How? Here we go. How? So, let's go here. Simplify. The top rules to successful social media marketing. What is the number one? Anybody care to venture what the number one rule is for social media marketing? Come on. Stretch. Sure. Go ahead.
Get their permission.
Get their permission. That's kind of good.
Content.
Content. Okay.
Your product.
Your product. Okay. And I'm going to pick on you. Misconception, and I'll tell you why. Number one rule is engagement. Let me explain what I mean by engagement. And guess what? You know what the number 2 rule is? Engagement. You know what the number 3 rule is? Marketing message. And you see a marketing message got really small. That's my product. Here's why. Engagement simplified. This is an algorithm called EdgeRank. Anybody ever heard of EdgeRank? Right, I'm going to teach you what EdgeRank is. And once you understand EdgeRank, first before I do that, how many people use Facebook right now? How many people regularly use Facebook? I mean, they're on it pretty much maybe once a week.
No, once a day.
Well, okay, let's start with this. Put your hands up if it's once a month. Almost everybody. Once a week. Once a day. Every hour. Can't live without it. By the way, I'm not going to reveal your ages, but you fit the demographics for the most use on Facebook. By the way, and it's women. Women use Facebook more than men, a lot more.
Who communicates more?
Absolutely. So let me talk about engagement. Let me talk about EdgeRank. And those of you that use Facebook with any regularity will begin to understand this. So let's talk about EdgeRank. But I'm going to compare it to something else. First of all, email. Everybody gets email because we've been doing it so long. So number one most important thing about email is open rate, right? If people don't open your message, they can't read your message, and so we want to make sure that we're not marked as spam, right? And so what do all the companies invest in now to keep your email from getting to the person? This spam filter, the dreaded spam filter, right? If we use too many exclamation points in our email, it's going to get caught in a spam filter. If we say the word free in an email, it's going to get caught in a spam filter. So, but it's important that people see our marketing message, and if we can't get it to them, then I don't care how good the message is, I don't care how good the deal is. If we can't get the message to them, it's useless. So let's talk about EdgeRank simplified. There are 3 common actions, and I'll explain. EdgeRank has to do with engagement. If you haven't figured that out already, EdgeRank has a lot to do with engagement, and there are 3 common ways that people engage. They either like something, they comment on something, or they share something. By the way, if there's a video involved, they play something. Okay? If the video shows up and nobody hits play, believe it or not, we measure down to the play whether or not the video is actually played. That's an engagement. Okay? Engagement becomes really important. Why? We need every message that goes out there to either be liked, commented, or shared. Okay. You friend me. Now you friend my company. You friend my company. And I sell widgets. Okay, I have the best widgets. And that's not, I'm saying that because I own that company that sells widgets. No, I have the best widgets. I have the best widgets in the market. You all know I have the best widgets in the market, okay? It's just a known in the industry. I have the best prices on the best widgets in the market. Everybody knows this. If they see my price, they know I've got the best price on the best widgets.
And they
I
shop
send
searching
out,
for more.
and I send, and yeah, if they find my widget, they're good, right? They've got what I want, or I've got what they want. I send out a message. I go, best widget, look at the incredible price. How many people like that? That's not what people like on Facebook. How many people share that? That's not what people share on Facebook. The Orlando Magic made a huge mistake in their social media campaign. And I say a huge mistake, and they had 1.2 million fans when we first started working with them. Today they're over 2 million. They had 1.2 million fans. When they send a message on Facebook of 1.2 million fans, just about 100,000 people would actually see the message. Why? Because nobody was engaging. So Facebook has this thing called edge rank that stops bad messaging or unliked messaging from appearing. All right, so I like Elmo. Is that on here? He is. I like Elmo. Here's the edge rank Elmo example. I kid you not, one day I'm floating around on Facebook, you know, just browsing crap, and I see that one of my friends likes something about Elmo. And so I click on it, I go and I go to Elmo's page. And that's the current page, but 3.6 million people at the time I took the snapshot like Elmo. Okay? Elmo posts pretty regularly. If you like Elmo, you would know this. If you like chicken, that chicken doesn't post very regularly, but Elmo posts pretty regularly, okay? Here's the thing, so I liked Elmo, and shortly after I liked Elmo, I got to see Elmo's posts. He would show up in my news feed. I would go log on, and here would be Elmo, and Elmo would be talking about what Elmo talks about. And what Elmo talks about, quite candidly, I could care less. Let's be real. I liked him because I liked Elmo. I didn't like him because I wanted to hear what Elmo had to say. I just liked Elmo. It was just an acknowledgement that Elmo was cool, and that my little kids at one point in time liked Elmo and tickled me Elmo back in that. That was cool, and Elmo's cool. But I saw his post for about a couple weeks, and then I stopped seeing his post. Why? Because I didn't like anything that he wrote. I didn't comment on anything that he wrote. I didn't share anything that he wrote. And so Facebook, like a spam filter, begins to filter out the messages that I don't interact with, assuming that I don't want anything to do. It doesn't mean I don't like Elmo anymore. And in fact, because I do like Elmo, if something viral happens with Elmo, suddenly thousands of people on this one message that Elmo sends out start liking it and popping it up. It'll all of a sudden show up in my newsfeed because it gained enough steam. That one message gained enough steam to pop into my edge rank. But if that doesn't happen, I will never see another thing that Elmo writes.
So that's automatically?
Automatic.
Done.
You can't stop it. It is Facebook. Think about it. Just think about your own habit. If you were to go right now and guess, put your hands up. Just walk with me here. You like 10 things. Put your hands up, because everybody can like. If you're on Facebook, you like 10 things. Come on, right? So you like 100, 200. 500, 1,000. Believe it or not, a lot of people are in the thousands and they don't even know it. They have no idea because they just go along and they go like, and an ad pops up. I kid you not. We ran a campaign to prove it, and we did it we tried to do it with cheap clicks, and we ran an ad with a little advertisement. You know, you see those, and the button said like this. That's all it said. We ran it in the Philippines, and within a few hours, 10 cents a piece, I got over 1,000 likes. Over a button that just said like this. They have no idea what they're liking. They just like it. Okay? So you like things, you don't realize you like them, but if you, and think about it, if all the things you liked, every message that was being sent out by all the things you liked was in the newsfeed, it would just be filled with junk. It would just be filled. When your friends type stuff in there, if you're not interacting with a friend, that's why you don't see them. But if you actually go to their page, you go, wow, they're doing all these things. Well, you haven't been liking, you haven't been sharing, you haven't been commenting. And Facebook thinks, hey, you really don't want to see this. It's not that important to you. So with the number one rule being engagement, and now you understand how Facebook works, what do you have to say to your fans? Tell them about your product. Do you tell them about your product? Do you tell them about the 99-cent special we got running right now, or the deal I have on this? Do you think they're going to like that? Because they're not liking it now. They're not going to share it. You got to connect with them just like a real person.
if you walked into my house and sat down with me, I'm just gonna say, you come over to my house. If all I ever talked about was my company and how great it was and all the things that I do, and that's all I ever spoke to you about, before long, you don't wanna come to my house anymore, right? Because I'm a little self-obsessed with me and not obsessed with you. And if you want their attention, you need to be obsessed with them, not with you. So what is your fan base like? What do they care about? What things will they share? What will they talk about? If we look at different things, and some markets are harder to do this in. Plain and simple, they're harder to do it in. Others, they're easier to do it in. Let me tell you this, the gun business is really easy. Because if people like guns, they really, really like guns. Right. And if they don't like guns, what? They really, really don't like guns. Okay, so that and they'll share stuff. Okay, and if I put something out there like a sign with bullet holes and it says, "Due to the rising cost of ammunition, there will not be a warning shot," hundreds of people will share it. Right? Yeah. Hundreds. You might even share it if you don't like guns. Hundreds of people will share that. Right? And if I get engagement, then I can now sneak a marketing message in every now and then. Not every message. Doesn't mean I can never do marketing. It just means that I've got to do the right kind of marketing. And if you're in the gun space, if I tell you I have 22 long rifle in stock right now, that gets shared too. But that's only because it's so crazy rare at the moment. But the reality is I can sneak a marketing message in there occasionally, as long as I'm giving them stuff that they're interested in, that they're going to comment on, that they're going to like. And by the way, you can ask questions. Bring up, it is a place where you can bring up controversy in your industry and actually talk about it and get people to talk. You don't have to take a position. You can just ask. What do you think about, I might be in the healthcare business and we want to ask our fans what they think about Obamacare. See what happens when you do that. Oh. What happens? Engagement happens. People start talking about it. And when engagement happens, the next time they message, they get to see my marketing message because I'm keeping them engaged. So here, no engagement equals no edge rate, which equals nobody can see you. So if you're doing it, the how is if you're doing it and you're just marketing yourself, you're probably invisible. And you're probably the only person that's seeing it is you. And they actually now show you that. So when you're in the admin side and you're running a page, you can actually see impressions, like how many people saw this message. And if you have 1,000 fans and only 200 are seeing it, you have a problem. You have an engagement issue. Because here's what happens when you can do it really cool. This is an edge rank. This is a little tool that actually gives you edge rank. So I can tell that every audience is totally different. And every audience reacts differently. My gun audience, totally different than a healthcare audience. Totally different than a doggy daycare audience. Totally different than a restaurant audience. Every audience is unique to itself. And in this particular audience, company name stripped out, on Thursday, we got the most engagement. Whatever reason, Thursdays is the day that everybody seems to engage. And they seem to engage most with photos. Next best is link, okay? And there's a little piece of tool out there called EdRank Checker, and it'll actually tell you all this stuff. So when I find out also that when I measure a period of time, that if I post once per day, I got best results, versus when I posted 3 times per day, or when I posted once every other day. This happens to be this audience. Your audience is different. I don't know what your audience wants. We have to measure it and understand it to understand what your audience wants. A little tool out there called EdRank Checker, and you can sign up for it, and it's free, and it'll give you some basic reports, and you can start seeing this stuff.
What's it called?
EdRank Checker. And actually search for it in Facebook. It's a Facebook app. Also, best post. Oh, and if I post it between 3 and 6 p.m., that's when I got the best engagement. Some audiences might engage better at lunchtime. I don't know your audience. But if I was working with you, I'd figure your audience out. Because I want to know what they want. Because I want engagement. So everything I measure about, everything I do is to figure out whether or not I'm getting likes, shares, comments, engagement. And then it gives me my next best link, and between 9 a.m. and 12, and 12 and 3, but 3 and 6 was the best. And then I can actually see a dot graph that shows me where I got activity based on the time and day of the week. So on Thursdays, it seemed to be between the 10 a.m. post and the 4 p.m. post. And guess what? It's really cool. You could have crappy EdRank right now, but it will go out and look for the last month and a half, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, And it will look back at your history and go, let me show you when you got the best engagement and aggregate all that up for you so that you can start working on using that piece of knowledge to try to drive more engagement right now. Sponsored posts can turn you around too. Sponsored posts are where you can pay, and you're going to, and by the way, this is a really good tool. Your stuff is spam. Want your customers to see it? Pay Facebook. How cool is that? Right? How cool is that? So here I can actually begin to see what's going on. Here's an example. Fairwind Strike Union, one of our local clients, when we first started with them, had 8,100 likes. This is back in 2012. But they ran a post on September 11th in 2012. 28 people shared it. 127 people liked it. It was a picture of the lights and for the towers where they were missing. How many fans they have? Do you remember what I said before on page? 8,100? Yeah, how many people saw this post? I'll read it for you in case you don't know. 18,991 people saw that post. Why? Because it was shared. It was liked. It didn't even get a lot of comments. But check this out. September 11th, they do this. Right? September 20th, they do in the market for a new or pre-owned car. Universal Nissan Hyundai is hosting a car sale event with a special offer for Fairwinds members today through Sunday. Check it out. You know how many likes they got on that? 3. No comments. No, nothing. But wait, how many people saw it?
12,000.
12,000 people saw their marketing message, and they only had 5 or 8,000 fans. Engagement on the left, marketing message reach on the right. If I do nothing but this, it goes nowhere. If I do a lot of this and a little of this, it goes everywhere. Are the hows making sense now? Did the hows make sense before now? Nope. How many people are just giving marketing messages, talking about your stuff, talking about your product? Yeah. It's okay. It's a natural thing to do. I've got 2,000 fans. I need to tell them everything that I have. Because they want to know. Well, they do. They do want to know. Your fans really do care about you. They wouldn't have liked you if they didn't care about your product or your business anyway. It's Facebook that's filtering you out because they're not engaging with that message. That doesn't mean that they're not doing something about that message. It doesn't mean that they're not coming to your store and enjoying your product or coming to your restaurant or doing whatever it is you do and doing business with you. It just means that they think that they're not interested because they're not engaging. And people don't engage with advertising. It's hard to get engagement. Ma'am?
If just opening something and looking at it but not hitting like, is that a non-engagement?
You're talking about when they have a read more and you kind of expand it to see the whole thing? Because if it's in the news feed, you get to see it. You either get to like it or...
Yeah,
what?
that's,
I'm talking about an email.
Oh, no, well, email different beast. That email had nothing to do with that trend. I was using an email as an example on open rates. If they open it, yeah, I'm glad they read your message. We get into email campaign management, I would be talking about open rates, the king. If we can't get it open, it's over.
What about an email from Facebook?
Not done very often. Facebook doesn't fill my box with much.
well,
Email
because you
you all
have it,
the time?
yeah.
Like
I do it all
you
the
got a
time.
notification or something on Facebook?
Notification.
Yeah, I
Okay.
get emails that there's notifications.
Okay, so you have notifications turned on, but that's usually to do with groups, not with pages.
Or if you made them your family or close friends.
Right. Yeah, people, not pages. People, groups, you can get notifications about that, but you're not gonna usually get it from pages, like companies.
So it's not gonna count.
That's not gonna help
And the
there.
same with what you're saying as far as if you click on it so you can see it bigger.
Well, actually clicking on it and see it bigger, it is one level of engagement. It's not enough to keep, I can't just count on that as enough to keep my engagement levels high enough for ad rank purposes. It doesn't hurt. Hitting play on a video is engagement, and that counts. Finishing the video and not just watching part of it also counts. So, don't give them a long video. Don't give them an hour-long video that they know to finish.
So should you do pictures or videos
Well,
better?
today the answer is that photos are king. In videos, there's production costs and all kinds of stuff that gets into it. It's harder for you to do. If you're going to post with any frequency, picture is king. And why are pictures king? Because they take up so much daggone real estate on the page. As you're scrolling through your newsfeed, pictures pop at you. If I'm going to put a link up, I actually do it as an image and then add a link. If I'm going to put up a message that I want, I'll actually type the message into an image editor and create an image with the message in it. and put that up, because it just gets more real estate on the page and gets my chance for, engagement to go up. Does that make sense?
So if my social media person is doing, I don't know, she does one day a week, she does some kind of phrase, and should
Cool.
she actually put that
In a photo.
in a photo?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Mhm.
however
You're doing
it's
a
on
quote?
the photo,
Yeah, it's just so much easier for you to see in real estate, and it's so much, people will share it. And if it's a great quote, it could, or funny or something like that, it has a tendency even to potentially go viral. Whereas just text, not really, it's gonna get lost in the
So she
in the
should
stuff.
always do that then.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, hey, you can put cool stuff into a thing, and you can carry your brand with it all day long. The stuff we do for gun shop, I may do a thing about that ammo thing I was talking about. It's got that gun shop logo on the bottom. Right.
So
By the
she
way, it's
should
that gun
always
shop.
have
Just-
her.
Not that other gun shop. We're that gun shop. We got that gun and we got that price too. You like that? You like that?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I like that too. That's cool, huh? I agree. That is cool. Huh? That company's cool. I like it.
company is cool.
There you go. There you go. So, I told you if you forget my brand, I've done something wrong. Right? So, that's the hows. I mean, I can go for longer, but that
And that's just Facebook.
that's just Facebook. I didn't talk Twitter and everything else. Engagement still, it doesn't matter what social space engagement's king. If we can get them talking to us and engaging with us and interacting with the stuff that we do, that's a good thing. If we just try to swamp them with marketing messages, what is the first thing you do when you pick up? Let's go back to the basics. What's the first thing you do when you pick up your mail? Your physical mail. Important stuff.
Same thing you do with email.
Oh, and if I'm really lucky, when I'm done,
There's nothing like that. Same thing with email.
yeah. By the way, bill to the way.
Well, maybe we could do this. Do you have a minute for a little role play?
Sure.
Maybe we could pick one of our businesses and pick on them. And they could tell you what they were thinking about putting out, maybe in a title or an email message, and then you show them how to do it better. So who's brave?
Put me on the spot. No, we'll play with it.
You guys brave?
Hand up back in the back.
All right. All right. First, before you tell me anything at all, I see Bill Bryan. So, you sell cars?
I do.
Okay. I have to be careful because I work with one of the largest agencies in Chicago as a private label, and we handle an absolute ton of car dealerships.
So maybe you should go back to my first suggestion.
But you guys actually nowadays are actually walking into a space in the very near future where the manufacturer is going to mandate social media campaigns and going to mandate money has to be spent in reputation management spaces as well.
It's already being done.
Yes, it is. There you go. See, I know a little bit about your industry. So what is it that I could help you with on cars?
Well, I do commercial fleets.
Okay,
So
commercial fleet.
So mine's a little bit different.
It is, totally different beast. My answer to you, if I was just, this is really rough. My answer to you is LinkedIn,
Why?
not Facebook. LinkedIn.
Why?
Why? Well, it's commercial. Well, let me back in. First of all, let's do this. There are commercial, and you do commercial fleet. And let's just say, you tell me who your target customer is. What size is that company?
It could be the smallest company to the largest.
If you had to pick, you got a market, you got to pick a target, who's the target? What do they look like? Are they a company? The sweet spot of targets, hey, it's everybody, I get that, but the sweet spot that you know that if they walk in your door, you have a good shot at closing them, and it's going to be worthwhile, and you're going to close enough
The name of
business.
the company or just?
No. What was it? The demographic look of it. Are they a company of 5 employees, or a company of 10 employees, a company of 50 employees, a company of 1,000 employees?
Company of 50.
50 employees or there and about. So somewhere in the 50 to 100 employees. So their revenue levels are roughly, just guessing,
5 to 7 million.
or more. 50 employees, 5 million, that's a lot going to labor. In my business, service business, I can pull that off. 10, 15, $20 million. Okay, somewhere in that neighborhood? All right. That means they probably have an organized IT department. Right. There's a very good chance that Facebook is filtered at their company and they don't even allow their employees to go on Facebook because it wastes time. So when you start getting into some of these larger companies, if there are targets, Facebook kind of goes out of there anyway. Facebook also, by most employers, is looked at as a waste of time. They're doing something they shouldn't be doing. And so if I'm on Facebook at the office, now my office is a little different, but if an employee's on Facebook at the office, there's a good chance that employee's not doing something they're supposed to be doing. So they're really not there, and most, let's be real, most employees don't come to work intending to screw up. Most employees don't come to work, the majority of employees, there's a few that screw up and we know it, and we catch them and we get rid of them, and they don't stay employed very long. But if they're on Facebook, they're probably screwing off, and I'm probably not gonna keep them around. So the good chances, the good employees, the decision makers, the guys that are there, your buyer is probably not on Facebook at the office. He might be on Facebook on his cell phone though. That's an interesting way that I can get around the filter that they put on my computer, and also an opportunity for me to interact with my friends while I'm at work. But most people look at Facebook as a way to interact with their friends. LinkedIn, most people look at as a way to interact with professionals. You can advertise on LinkedIn just like you could on Facebook. And by the way, in social media marketing, anybody here from the newspaper or from television? Okay, anybody? Village Sun, TV station. Okay, I'm gonna bang a little bit on traditional media, sorry.
So you can take it.
Okay.
He's an online newspaper.
Yeah.
Oh, you're the online side? Awesome. I'm not gonna bang on you too bad. Regular newspaper, that kind of thing. Let's talk about impression rates and impression costs and advertising in Facebook. Okay, so in Facebook, I can advertise. By the way, anybody here responsible for hiring employees? Best place in the planet to hire employees on Facebook. But going back to yours, in LinkedIn, I can do advertising, and I can target that advertising to job title. Hey, fleet manager. All the people that will only see my ad are fleet managers, have the job title fleet manager. Wow, pretty cool. Now I'm not spending any money advertising to people that do not care about my product or never will buy it. You can't run an ad in the newspaper that will only reach fleet managers. Just can't be done. And when you run an ad on Facebook, I can run an ad. By the way, we're working on this right now. We did a proof of concept. It's absolutely provable. We are going to be running an ad because we work with big companies. So we're targeting Mark Cuban. And I'm going to run an ad that only Mark Cuban will see. I can run an ad that's snipered in Facebook, and you can back that off at any point. So I can run an ad right now on Facebook that everyone in Lake County would see that's on Facebook. I can run an ad on Facebook that's limited to only women over the age of 40 and under the age of 60 on Facebook, see, that are claiming to be a Republican who, I can get that finite about what I can do. Anybody here in the wedding business, by any chance? No? Yes, kind of?
In a way, yeah.
Okay, cool. You can advertise based on relationship status. Hey, engaged. Only engaged people see my ad as a photographer. Gee, I just narrowed it all down and I spent all the money I needed to spend, very little bits of it, on only the engaged people in a certain geography. And I don't like those older weddings because they're always a pain in my ass, so I'm gonna knock the age down. You can hyper target. So in LinkedIn I can target, in Facebook I can target, and there is no media outlet today that can come anywhere near nowhere near the impression cost as social media. Nowhere near. You will spend $30 in Facebook and reach tons more people that are exactly looking for what you want for your business than you will spend. You can't even come close to spending $30 in a traditional media. Okay. It's just, and that's my recommendation for you would be LinkedIn, and I would actually look at a very, very small advertising campaign that could reach fleet managers. Or tell me what other titles that make decisions with you on the phone.
Usually they're purchasing agency.
Bingo. So start finding those titles. Go back right now, look at all your sales and all the people you did, look at your Rolodex or whatever it is you use, your Outlook, and look at all the titles. Hopefully you've been collecting titles, but all the titles. And then run an advertising campaign at those titles that make the most sense, and only people that self-profess themselves to be that will see your ad. You can do that on Facebook too. You can actually go after their title, but Facebook may be less effective. And then the other thing I would tell you is use a call tracking number on that, so that every phone call that comes back from that ad, you can prove came from that campaign. Because when you're going to your boss to say, I want to keep spending money here, and he goes, nah, it's bullshit. That's crap. That's what a used car guy sounds like. That's crap. Right? I'm not being funny now, am I?
No, you're not.
Let me ask you a question. When it comes to.
That was funny though, wasn't it?
When it comes to Twitter and trying to get
Yeah.
to the person that you're looking for, doesn't Twitter just go to that account you send it to? It doesn't go to,
Hashtags are the winner in Twitter.
okay.
Hashtags are the winner in Twitter. Let me say it again, hashtags are the winner in Twitter. And because people look at hashtags and look at subject matter, and if you say something cool in a specific space, they'll see it and they may come around and start following you. Yes, you can direct message certain people and that's cool, but hashtags are the killer, are the thing in Twitter. So if I'm in Twitter doing a giveaway, I'm doing a hashtag on giveaway, I'm doing a hashtag on free. I want to rotate that, I'm not going to fill my messaging up with tons and tons of hashtags that look spammy, but I'm going to move through the hashtags and I'm going to watch and see what kind of reactions I get out of it. The other thing you can do if you're trying to get attention on some people is to actually favorite, to go in there and mark some of their messaging. When you see a thing, you can actually favorite that. I don't know if you know that, but you can favorite stuff. So go look in there and favorite things. It
I use
actually
Twitter
gets
like
attention.
maybe 2 sentences.
Hmm?
I use Twitter and maybe send out 2 sentences,
That's
that's it.
right. Yeah. Twitter's a little bit of a different beast. Twitter is very, very phone centric. The younger crowd is going Twitter nuts because it is much like texting. And I don't have to deal with pictures and all that. I mean, I will look at my daughter who's 19 and I'll say, who you texting? I'm not texting, I'm tweeting. I'm like, "Oh, okay." She's always on Twitter. That's their thing. You hear about people who are leaving Facebook and all that. They're not. It's the younger crowd that's not using Facebook as much. The middle-aged crowd is still going
What's the average
straight.
age on Twitter? I mean, what's the,
You want to go into the whys?
well, we have 10 minutes maybe.
I can do that. Not perfect data, but here's your demographics.
What do you think of the WhatsApp?
Hmm?
The WhatsApp? WhatsApp?
I think it's like a lot of things, there's a lot of fads, and we'll have to see whether it has legs. And you know, one of the things that I actually did, it's on our homepage, is the next the Silicon Valley quadzillionaire kid things up next, and I don't know. But as far as a marketing piece, everything's worth a test. In my opinion, everything's worth a test. You test on Instagram. If you can get results out of it, then great, do it for you. It's like I don't know your audience, and what your audience is. I don't know whether or not they gravitate towards that. If they do, then by all means. What I can tell you is that in the majors, which Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, those are the really monsters. Instagram's popping in there.
Do you do blogs?
Do we do blogs? Yes, we do blogs for a whole different set of reasons. Yeah, blogs, yes. Blogs are a very important part of search engine optimization. Very, very important part.
You really have to do like every day.
You need to be regularly creating content. I won't say it's every day, but you need to be regularly creating content. Yeah, Google will look at your website and consider it not. If you go out there and do bursts of content, and that's cool. That's like you added a bunch of pages to your website. Google's kind of interested. But if you're regularly adding Google pages to your website, content to your website, then Google wants to come back and buy more often and index it more frequently.
So it's good for me to know that enough days.
It absolutely is.
Should
It
be
absolutely
insurance
is.
company.
So, anyway, so these are a bunch of different social networks and the age brackets in it, but I'll jump into Twitter. Here's the Twitter age bracket, and we look at it, it's pretty well distributed. This is 25 to 34, 35 to 44, and we see a pretty big group there. 18 to 24 and 0 to 17, so the kids. But actually, this data is a little bit old. This is, and right now, the Twitter piece has moved up considerably in the younger demographic. We look at Facebook, there it is right there. That's 45 to 54. That's the monster in Facebook. Our kids, my generation invented it, but my generation also decided to take it over. Kids started with it first, and now we're taking it over. We use it more than my kids do. And if we look at demographics, this is male or female. So when we look at Twitter right here, we'll see that it's mostly female. And when we look at Facebook, where am I number one? Right up, it's even more, it's neck and neck, but it's a little bit more, get the idea. Slashdot, it's geeky stuff, most of it.
Okay. To do marketing, do you have to have upgraded membership, like fee membership for Facebook? Isn't there a fee membership there that they offer? And LinkedIn also, that?
LinkedIn offers a membership level so that you don't have to request to be introduced to somebody. It lets you basically go through and spam LinkedIn, which is kind of cool. I can, make direct contact with people that are in, close to my network. But, no, Facebook, no membership levels. LinkedIn, yes.
When you're talking about doing the demographics of a certain, the status or whatever, is that where it's like where it says boost? Where you can boost this?
That's boosting a post. That's good. You can take any post and you can boost it. And boosting is typically there's two different sides. When you see boosting post, boosting is on your personal stuff. So when you're on your own personal page, your own personal stuff you're posting as yourself, you can boost one of your own posts and your friends will see it, okay? And you don't get really a whole lot of control over it. When you're managing a Facebook page, you get the promote this post link.
Oh, okay.
And the promote this post link is also the ability to promote an individual post. And you can choose all kinds of demographic information. There's an advanced button down there that really lets you start to fine tune that.
So they
The other thing
charge
you can do is go, huh?
They charge you for that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
What are the chances of us getting a copy?
And not very much.
What are the chances of us getting a copy of the Facebook demographics, the demographics sheet you have there?
I can get you that. There's no problem. I can send that. Somebody reach out to Virginia, please. My Virginia is my assistant. She's my right arm. She's what everybody laughingly calls my work wife. She tells me she tells me what to do, and I'm going to stay away from this. I was about to say something I'm not going to say now. No, she tells, I do, I follow, and so if somebody will contact her, it'll happen. If you contact me, it won't. If you ask me to remember this conversation, it won't.
He had a glass of wine. No, kidding.
No, just-
What's the best way to contact you?
Best way to contact me, Virginia.
Email?
Yes, Virginia. V. Allsbrook at thatcompany.com. VAAL. Wait, not AAL. V. Allsbrook. ALLSBROOK.
At
thatcompany.com.
company spelled out.
All the way. That company. Thatcompany.com.
You have a website.
Yeah, that company. And if you want to contact me to talk about our services, I'm not the guy to contact anyway. But I mean, I'll help you, but I'll drop the ball, I promise. My role as the CEO of that company is to be a visionary, is to tap along the edges, it's to find great people and get the hell out of their way. And that's what we've done. I was explaining to you, I don't hire people. I'm not even responsible for hiring people in my company. At one point in time I did. But my philosophy on hiring is that I hold my managers and directors of departments accountable, and so they get to choose their teammates. I get to veto. So if you got somebody you want hired, send them our way, but calling me and asking me to hey, somebody's coming by, I don't do interviews. I do a veto interview. And that veto interview has nothing to do with their skill set. I ask questions that have nothing to do with what they do for a living or what they're going to do for us. So I ask questions that are all about whether or not they're going to be help me define whether they're
How
going to
they
be a
think.
good fit.
How they think.
How they think, yeah. Like why our manhole cover's round.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, but on an engineering level, you might.
And can't you go to a virtual office, people virtually situated? or-
No, we have
Call
this-
center, you mentioned call
No, we have
center.
a physical office with 30 employees. I have 17.
Looking for a power source.
I really don't want it to die, so I'm gonna go and plug it in because there's other documents open, as there is on my machine at all times. I'm talking from under the desk now.
Is that a new marketing strategy?
Tip the waitress, she'll be here, anyway, tip the bartender. We have about 17, we do a lot of copywriting, an absolute ton of copywriting, because we do part of search engine optimization. I have about 17 copywriters locally. We keep employed pretty much full-time. So about 47 people in our direct employ here in Lake County. Not bad for a little marketing agency in Leesburg, but nobody knows that. I'm Leesburg, right on 440, right on 441, right in front of the airport.
All right, in the essence of time, we need to keep moving on, but can we show our appreciation?
Thanks for having me back.
We have a gift certificate to one of our members, and just like you with Mark Cuban, I targeted down this groundbreaking new book, which is mine. Cool. All right,
All right, cool.
so thank you.
All right, thank you very much.